They got some new submarines now. Do you see that? They got the ladies on the sub.
Didn't see the new submarines.
They put a pisser in for the girls now, so they can put girls in subs. The first integrated, it's not integrated. What is it when you get man and women together? Co-ed. First co-ed submarine.
Or were they peeing beforehand?
Well, they let them on subs beforehand.
But you implied that the problem was that girls can't pee in boy toilets, and I'm
it's
pretty
pressurized.
Sure
they can't. Nah, trust me. The admiral assured me.
How do they shit if they didn't have?
They attach a vacuum hose to your orifice.
Like I don't believe you.
I hate that.
Wait, now we're in space? I thought we were in submarines.
No, it's light space. A sub could operate in space. I'm making cogent points here that aren't made up.
I'm not sure the propulsion's going to get it done.
Could operate in space.
Of course it could.
I do believe you somehow. If we could somehow get it up there.
Once it's submarines. I know it can't propel itself, Woody. We'll need thrusters. The prop isn't going to do much because
the submarine has a device that uses water and gets the oxygen out and puts it in the cabin so they don't have to surface. That won't work.
Yeah, but we've got enough oxygen for a long period of time. It's got there's CO2 scrubbers in there. I'm not saying we're going to live in our sub in space indefinitely. I'm just saying we can make a few orbits around the Earth, come on back, and then burn up in the atmosphere.
Yeah,
because it's made of titanium and rubber on the outside.
Yeah.
I don't know what changes they had to make other than just letting girls on the submarine. Seems like a terrible idea. Seems like they're going to be fucking down there. Seems like it's going to stink down there like Batussi. There's going to be Batussi in the sub. You're not going to be able to filter that Batussi out. It's going to stink. All right. There's going to be pads clogging up the plumbing down there. I don't know.
Counterpoint. Maybe the guys will do less homosexual sex.
Yeah, and do you know what that's going to do?
It'll ruin their bonding.
Yes. Do you know what that's going to do to morale? If you're not getting any booty anymore, you got some girls. What's going to happen is now there's like 3 pussies on this boat and 80 cocks. Before there was 40 cocks and 40. There's
going to be some 4.5s who think they're 10s by the end of this tour.
They are 10s.
They're on the boat under the sea, like they're going to.
When you're
have
under
you seen some of like
cap,
the stories from like military women where it's like it'll come out and be like this private, Susan whatever was having sex with everyone in her platoon and her seniors, and you're like, who is this
servicing her country
bombshell gonna be? And then it's the most plain Jane fat woman, and it's like, wow, they really are in a pussy desert. And so any of them show up and they're just all fiending.
Private
like, you're a major and you fucked this woman. You don't have major.
What's the better accomplishment out of these 3?
Okay.
You're let's just say where you are, you're of legal age, but you're still in high school and you score a hot teacher. All right. You're a guy and she's a girl in these scenarios. Or you're in prison. You score the hottest of the cops of the prison guards. Or you're on the nuclear submarine and you get the hottest girl on the submarine. And in these 3 pussy deserts,
guard.
Which is more impressive?
Guard for sure.
Why?
Really?
Because it's got the most potential downside, the most balls to go for it. Like if you get turned down in the middle of the ocean, you're gonna have some awkward, mess hall encounters, but that'll be it. If you're doing it with a prison guard and she's not receptive, it could be like fucking Oz, and now you're getting fucking wrapped on the shin all the time, getting beaten. They're not bringing you food.
You're worried that
you're getting thrown in the shoe now, and so high risk, high reward.
I'll tell you that
is the other situation.
I have a different answer.
Experience, the girl guard, even the ugly ones. Well, actually, there was an ugly one that they all laughed at and made fun of because she was like short with these big titties. Look at that troll ass hoe.
What else did they say? Do it. Look at that troll ass hoe.
Look at that Goldberry looking hoe. Isn't that what Tom Bombadil's girlfriend's name was? Goldberry? Something like that. Yeah. But she was nasty as fuck. But they were hitting on him nonetheless. Like everybody would kind of be flirtatious with the guards. They're just waiting on any reciprocation. Just a little sort of like look back, a wink, a giggle. Like everybody's hitting on them like in a soft, respectful way. Like, look at you bringing some beauty into this awful place this morning. Good morning to you, and thank you for gracing us with your presence, ma'am. You get that after you leave your husband, who's like, "Have a good day." Yeah, you too. And then you come up here, and there's like a 28-year-old dude who's yoked, going, "Look at you gracing us with your presence, with your beautiful self." God damn, my day has been made. I'm happy to be in the federal prison system on a day such as today. My goodness, has the sun risen in the east? Oh, no, it is you.
I imagine this is a white guy because it's funnier.
It is a white guy. Yeah, of course. What did you picture? Yeah.
I told you I was picturing you're doing your white guy voice.
Cap on backwards, baggy pants, says something like for shizzle.
In jail.
So I think the submarine girl is the highest accomplishment. And my reasoning is this. I think you have the best competition in that regard. Like if you're the hottest high school guy, well, shit, half of those guys are Woodies that haven't hit puberty, right? Of course she picked you. Yeah. If you're in prison, half of those guys are toothless, tatted up people that have struggled to score girls. Of course you're the cream of that crop. But when you're talking about like Navy sailors and everybody's between like 18 and 28, and you're the guy who nails that like 300-to-1 ratio pussy, you have climbed Mount Olympus. Like you've done something amazing.
I think he swayed me away from the high school kid. Although I will say,
if we all have different answers organically, that's fun.
The high school kid thing, to me, it's like, that's a story. There was a guy who did that. She wasn't a teacher. She was like a teacher's. They went to baseball camp and she was like a camp counselor at the baseball camp. So affiliated with the educational system. And we were young. We were 17 and he was 16. And it was known that like John banged Debbie. John hooked the whole camp. She was like sneaking him out and fucking. And it was like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever even heard of. Like that was such an accomplishment. Like that was better than winning like the football game or the fucking spelling bee. Like he had sex with a 25-year-old hot chick, you know? And like, it was, I still think about that. It was like, my God, what a fucking win. Like that's it. And he wouldn't brag about it. He just sort of like beam when the story was told. It was like, do you hear what Johnny did? And he just kind of sit there like Washington crossing the Delaware, just like knee propped up like Captain Morgan, just looking.
Was Johnny like the best guy in high school? Was he the cream of the crop?
One
of the five.
I guess he was a good looking guy and he was an athlete. Sure. I guess he's probably, she thought so at the baseball camp. She thought he was the cream of the crop.
Dude, there was a guy in my high school, and I don't know if it's true, but like the substitute teacher comes in and everyone is just drooling over this woman. How hot is she? She's attractive, but she's a substitute teacher, which makes her like a hot sub is uncommon. Anyway, everyone's like hitting on her. Not me. I knew my place. But like people who maybe had a hint of a shot were all hitting on her, except this one guy. This one guy just sort of casually kept it back a little. He had a different kind of vibe about him. And they start smiling at each other. And sure enough, he's the one that's connecting with her. And I think everybody thought, everybody thought they banged before. Like she rolled in there and it's like, I think she's already fucked this guy. This guy was a world-class athlete. He was a wrestler. His record in wrestling at one point was like 110-0. He won state champs his freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And he actually got second his senior year, but he wrestled 2 weight classes above his own to get better competition. And he won every match except that one. But yeah, so I think that is the guy who rose above all the other high school kids. But still, like, if you talk about the sailors on a sub, they're all impressive. Of course,
think about the threat of prison. Though
I've known some submariners; they were pudgy fuckers. You know, it's not a real athletic position. I don't think if you're operating gear. But your point is sound. I think you're right, but I think the lifelong achievement would come from the high school kid. But I think if you're the best looking girl is probably going to be the Navy chick that you scored in the nuclear submarine, though. Yeah, where do we fuck down there, though? It's going to be awkward. Like
it's going to be, it's going to be noisy. I imagine a lot of clanking, no privacy.
Yeah, that's the point.
I think it's
going to be somewhere where there's witnesses.
The opposite of that.
You're going to do that. You guys have
Kyle's like, how are we going to get privacy? I'm like, Kyle, you're doing this all wrong. I'm going to be a Titan at the end of the session.
Oh my God!
There's no risk to the other two, though. Like.
Really?
You bang the lady on the fucking sub. If she hooks up with you and like now you're her main squeeze, the other sailors aren't going to like beat you with soap and socks and stuff.
They might rat you out.
You know, same with the school thing. But the prison thing, if you start hooking up with the prison guard, you think everyone's going to be like, oh, that's great. I wanted to hook up with the prison guard, but you know, I guess it's, you know, Steve's turn to do that. I guess he gets to have. No, someone might stab you. They might use a shard of a fucking
that
tray, poke your eyes out.
I listen to way too many prisoners talk about that stuff, and it's like they'll be it's very common, apparently. First of all, like there will be multiple guys who each have a prison guard girl, and they'll be sneaking them stuff in. So that's like a supply line. Like they'll sneak in. He talks about how they'll sneak in cigarettes and stuff, and how he'd give the guard a $50 bill cash, and the guard would give him back X amount of like Winston no filter cigarette 100s stomped flat in the bottom of his shoe, and he'd take each one apart and make 5 individual cigarettes that he'd sell for $7. So 7 times 35, 6. So he's making like $700 a fucking pack or something like that, something crazy. And that's like a business. So you wouldn't rat on them. They don't rat on them. People that rat get fucking stabbed up, apparently, in like real prison. He talked about.
I didn't mean
he was a member,
really, like someone taking matters into their own hands, beating you up out of jealousy, or
he was a member
prison
of.
Guard have multiple guys? Like it would seem
sometimes,
like, these monogamous relationships is not what I would have expected.
Both, because there was that one lady who was like escaped with her prisoner boyfriend. She was one of the ghouls when it turned out later on. It's like this lady loved this guy so much she broke him and his buddy out of prison and went on the run with them. And it's like, oh my God, somebody's got to be good looking in this whole thing. And I guess the guy was like a decent looking fellow, but the lady was a ghoul. And I just imagine him being like, hey, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
She looks at him with with her good eye.
I forget his name, but I used to watch a YouTuber who was a prison inmate for some period of time. And he was like, these guys are often very charming and they have unlimited time. 8 hours a day, just thinking of what he's going to say, like planning his next move. Like it is like if your wife works in a correctional facility, you got to know they are charming the pants off her every day. It is not just one man's life mission, but like 300 men are making it their mission to get in there.
Maybe it would be easier in the prison situation because like even the most ghoulish of characters, like serial killers, serial rapist killers, like they go to prison and they end up getting like a slew of love letters and stuff, like
some do,
like
some
Ted
do.
Bundy, and it seems like the high profile ones. Ramirez had like he had hot chicks at his fucking trial, and he's looking back at him winking, and it's like this is the guy who raped and murdered couples in their bed. This is the guy who would sneak into your house and kill your children slowly. Like this is they called him the Night Stalker. You know what I mean? This is evil personified. He's one of my favorite serial killers because he got his comeuppance. Like they printed his picture in the paper before they caught him, and the citizens of the town, maybe San Fran, caught his ass and beat the dog shit out of him before the cops got there. Like they beat the shit out of him in the street. He's like, that's him. That's the Night Stalker. And they whooped his ass. They were holding him when the cops got there. Nice. I like that.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah, but he was one of those guys with all the love letters and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
This guy was talking about. This prisoner was talking about there. Also, he's in a scary prison. You keep that in mind. But there's like some 5'5" female guard who just joined there. And normally they really do have this don't hurt women kind of attitude. It's sort of universal for the most part, unless it's a different race. But that's another story. But this lady was being like super disrespectful. She was going into people's cells, like leaders of gangs' cells, and throwing their kids' pictures in the toilet, stomping on their like belongings, like trashing their cell for no reason. And like one of the leaders is like politely tells her, you shouldn't do that. Like you shouldn't disrespect us this way. We show you respect. You show us respect. There's a hierarchy here. We keep each other in check, each other in line. Like that way, nothing bad happens. And she throws him in the hole. So they're like, so we found so he's like, so what did you do? He's like, we torpedoed her. He's like, what's that? Torpedoing someone is when you pick someone who's like a child molester, a punk, somebody who's kind of got like a letter on their head that says, get me. And you force them to go get the person. So in this case, it was an arsonist. It was a firebug. And one of his fires had killed a kid. And so that meant he's persona non grata. So every day he's getting like hat knocked off his head in line, like slapped in the mouth, food stolen, beaten up, stomped out, threatened, might kill you tomorrow. Fuck you, punk, steal your lunch. That kind of shit is like daily for him. And so they tell this guy, hey, we're in every prison system. We're in every prison in the federal system. I've got members here and members there. They could send you to Florida. They could send you to Massachusetts. It's the same ass whooping courtesy of yours truly. You go whoop that guard's ass, and you make sure she knows she got an ass whooping, and you're good. And he beat the shit out of her and sent her to a meta flight. They had to fly her to a hospital to deal with what he did to her. And I guess he's like, that solved the problem. It's like, holy shit, that's so scary. That's so scary.
So did he say anything that like the firebug, like now he gets to sit at the lunch table, or at least not be bullied at his?
He didn't mention what happened to the firebug. Actually, like that was kind of the end of the story. They like transitioned to like smuggling or tattoos, or there was a guard who had a full sleeve of prison tattoos. He would like go into the cell and like a prisoner would tat him up. He'd bring him the ink. He's like, here's some ink, here's some needles. Hook me up. Like putting a full gang sleeve on the guard, and how like each gang he called them cars. That's what you call the different race gangs. Each one will have their own guard, and they don't want to share. It's like, you're with us. You can't be selling smokes to them too. You can't be bringing pills to them too. You can't be sneaking morphine out of the med bay for them. You're our guy. There'd be a little friction there. It's like we might hurt you, even though you're the guard. Like, this is our house. Mm-hmm. It was real scary how much power the prisoners seemed to have, where you could move somebody across the country and they'd still be getting letters to like the guys who run the gangs, the big prison gangs. They're in like a federal supermax or some shit, somehow still running shit, like writing letters and getting them out and they're being disseminated. He's like, I'd sit there all day typing copies of the letters from the big dogs to distribute down. He's like making 15 copies on like that contact paper or whatever. So he's like doubling up on an old typewriter, like writing gang, not necessarily like go hurt this person, go steal this, but like rules and regulations and ways to do things and like how the hierarchy should go. And yeah, this guy's now one of us and stuff like that, all kind of coded a little bit. It was crazy how much power they had. It's really scary. I'm glad I didn't go to scary prison. Like it was scary enough where I went. Like they killed a guy like up the hill at the medium from where I was. But like, it seems like in the real prison, people get fucked up all the time. All the time. Just to hell. It's like Oz.
Going to prison is one of my fears, and I'm not sure I'm socially disciplined enough. I definitely could make it like a month, I think, without fucking up. But if I had like a year, I'd let my guard down. I know it. I'd fuck up in some way. I'd look in a cell I'm not supposed to look into. I don't know what I'd do. Make a friend with the wrong group or two groups that don't like each other, and now I'm in the middle.
I'd end up making jokes in order to make friends, because that's how I make friends, and I'd say something they didn't like and they'd clip my fucking toes off.
Right.
I want that.
I don't know. The mixing of racist things seemed real important because like palling around and like being like buddies with another race in some places, it's like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, we're gonna correct you. And then some places it's like not even a thing. Like race isn't the defining line between maybe gangs or cars or whatever. Like might be locale. Like oh yeah, we're North California, or we're like Southern Missouri, or like whatever the fuck, wherever they're from or whatever. But race seems to, in the bigger, scarier places, race seems to be king. Yeah. Although there will be like multiple Mexican gangs, multiple different kinds of gangs with different ideas on how hardcore to be. Different racist gangs. There's like multiple white supremacist gangs.
In my high school, like people didn't really divide by race. Yeah. They divided by music, their musical preference. Like if you like metal, if you like pop, if you like whatever, like that seemed to be a bigger, I don't know, separation utility.
What was the racial breakdown though? How many black folks were in your high school?
There were projects in Ocean City that had a lot of black people in it. And I'll make up a number, say 10%.
Yeah. It was a lot higher than that in mine, in elementary school, but I don't know how else to put it, but the black kids just didn't stay in school. So by the time we got to graduation, there was only two of them left. Two people my age that were black graduated. And there's a lot of black people here. Not as much as some areas like where I grew up, but like 80-90% of the black kids flunked out and didn't graduate with us, at least because and the two that did, one of them was a teacher's daughter, Miss Maxwell, who was a great lady. And so she, of course, had her daughter like going to school and like fucking graduating. And the other was like a guy who sort of pulled himself up by the bootstraps and went to an administrator when he saw he was doing poorly and was like, I have goals, the The guy had a UGA ring on. He's like, I want one of them. I want one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, how do I do that? And like the administrator like sort of took this guy under his wing and like, here's the plan. You do this every day, and then you get one of these in 8 years. And like they did, you know, it was a and this is the kid who was normally eating gum from under desks. So like
ooh, hopefully that was step one of his UGA process. It's like step one, food under desks. What do? We leave it.
Leave where it is. Where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say that I didn't notice I know that across America, there is a much lower graduation rate amongst Black people. I don't think I remember my high school being like that, but I do remember the Black guys celebrating the degree like they just won the lottery. You know, moms crying, people jumping in the air, just so excited. Like, we made it, baby. Like they got a Conor McGregor fight. Like it was red panty night.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. It's a diploma. Come on now. Come on. That's, you know, it's like kindergarten graduation. It's like, what are we doing here? Even me at kindergarten, I'm like, I mean, did anybody not make it?
Oh my, same thing. I remember my kindergarten graduation and being like, but after this, like the school begins, like first grade. Like I'm graduating. What am I graduating from? I thought there was going to be during kindergarten graduation. I imagined there was going to be a graduation at the end of every year. And I was already at age 5, like, this is going to be tedious.
Like, you're 5, and it's like, congratulations. Now do this for like triple what you've been alive. Get started.
Yeah. Now you have to sit here and watch boring shit and learn boring things from a disinterested teacher.